What's going on YouTube? JD here with the next episode of JD Plays Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Expert Mode. And I've added some lasers to the laser array back here. And I've got a machine frame pumping out. And I've made some more emerald chipsets and various things to continue down the line. I've moved a lot of my machines back here. We're kind of starting to push these generators at full bore. We've got their powers, upgraded, and I'm using the highest in fuel that I've got, and yet we're still not keeping up. So we're going to have to look at some additional power sources and fuel sources today. I've got a rather large to-do list. We're going to dive right into that. Before we do, yesterday, we made some storage modules, and I've definitely been making use of those. I did a lot of mining today out in Twilight Forest, and just to give you an idea of how much ore I got, we're going to scroll through this right quick. So some apatite, plenty of Certus quartz, quite a bit of coal ore, a bunch of copper ore, some denses right here, a few different dense levels, 49 diamond ore, quite a bit of gold, a bunch of iron, a bunch of lapis, not as much emerald as I had hoped for. I only got like 10 emerald, but that's okay. 10 emerald will break out pretty good, and we don't use a bunch of emerald yet, so we're doing okay there. A lot of redstone, some good tin. So got some good mining in. That's going to help us along quite a bit. Now, first thing I want to kick off starting with is we're going to make some brewing stands. Brewing stand is a very simple recipe, some stone slabs, which if you don't know how to get those, just take 3 regular stone and spread them across, put a blaze rod on top, and you'll get a brewing stand. No big deal. So we're going to pop 2 of those out. Now I'm just going to toss them down on the floor right now because I want to get them brewing kind of as quickly as we can. Now I've got some jars over here, and I haven't brewed potions in a long time, so there's a very high chance that I'm going to screw this up as usual. But hey, what would it be without me screwing up on my own stream, right? So let's get some water. I've got my little kitchen back here. Maybe I should move the brewing stands back here to the back. I don't know. But we're going to get 6 bottles of water. And then downstairs, I forgot to bring them up with me. We left some nether wart. And we're going to go grab that nether wart right quick. At least I hope I still have nether wart. I got rid of my nether wart farm, and I'm not sure what I did with the seeds. So we'll grab these 4. They'll work. Let's take those back up top. And here we go. Alright, so 3 potions. If you look at netherwart's uses, and you come to brewing, you will notice, well, maybe not. Let me make sure I'm doing the right recipe first. What we're working towards is this night vision necklace. And the night vision necklace requires some gold, some string, some diamonds, and a night vision potion. Night vision potion takes some redstone over a potion of night vision, and you get potion of night vision for 8 minutes. To get to that, you're going to need an awkward potion with a golden carrot. And to get to the awkward potion, you take regular water bottles and put nether wart in. So we're going to pop this in there. Not all of it. Just 1 will do. Thank you. And we're going to make some more right here. Just because why not mass produce stuff, And we'll take the remaining nether wart, drop it off in the forestry bin. While that's brewing, let's take a golden carrot and go ahead and get that up and ready. So we should have some golden nuggets somewhere around here. I had them messing with them just the other day, right here. No, that's rubber. And let's get our crafting manufacturing halo right here. Toss the carrot in there, circle around with the golden nuggets, pop that in. I guess we could go ahead and make 2 since we are making, 2 racks worth of potions and stuff. Let's grab another carrot real quick and we'll do that. So another carrot. Manufactory halo. There we go. And circle on around. And there we go. Alright. So we've got 2 golden carrots. Let's check on these potions. Now these are all awkward potions. And so we can use these, like we said, with the carrots. And we're going to get potion of night vision. So let's pop 1 carrot on there. Let's pop another one on there. And yeah, I could take those off and use them to make other things. I don't really care. They're very easy to make. Everything we're using right now is replaceable. So not that big a deal. And then we're going to need some redstone. No, manufacturing halo. Stop it. Okay, so now we've got potions of night vision. So if we put this on there, it's going to brew it into an 8-minute potion of night vision. So this is one way you could just do it early game if you don't want to go with making the necklace. You could just brew yourself some potions and rock these as you need them. Alright, so we're waiting on that to finish. Come on, big boy. There we go. All right, now we need some gold ingots. Got 2 right here, and I stuck some diamonds right there. They are in here, and I'll hopefully have some string in here, and we're winning. Need that halo back. Beautiful. Oh, and that pickaxe that I lost last night, I found it. It's right here. It was stuck inside of the magic chest, but I decided to go ahead and quit using that pick anyways, and I went ahead and made a magical wooden pickaxe that is now infinite in durability, and gave it Fortune 3 to replace that pickaxe. So I no longer have any tools I actually have to repair except for my sword, and I'll replace that later. That's going to be built a little differently than what I usually do. It'll be an RF tool. So what we need to do now is we need to take these, set this up like so and so, here and here, and it should be 3 string across. And this actually comes from the Runic Dungeons mod, but it's a night vision pendant. So if we take this and put it on our baubles right there, it is no longer night outside for me, even though it's actually night in the world. I can see outside. I can see into water very clearly. Yeah, this is a super awesome item. So definitely advise making it as soon as you can. That's very odd that it didn't turn it off, the effect. Oh, I'm sorry, it gives you a timer. So there you go. So night vision, 20 seconds. There we go. Now it's toggling. So what it normally looks like, yeah, I like it. All right, that's done. Next thing on the list is a world anchor. I want to get a world anchor made. And I think I have everything set up for that already, ready to go. Yeah, I do. Okay, so last time we made some Enderium. And I've taken some of that Enderium and turned it into Enderium ingots. And I've also got some Enderium nuggets that are going to be used in another recipe. And I've got the world anchor recipe, I believe, right over here. Now, world anchors are very nice. If you play on a server where everybody's really nice, you know, the server may allow you to run chunks loaded for free. I don't agree with that. I don't think that the server should do that, but that's my personal opinion, and your server owner has to make his own choice. So the beautiful thing about world anchors is they allow you to keep a certain number of chunks loaded, regardless of whether you're online or offline. So for example, where that comes in handy is if I'm making these resonant machine frames that cost 50 million RF to manufacture, and I log off of my server, this stops running. Or if I go to the Nether, or if I go to the Twilight Forest. So having this world anchor on hand, I can plop it down anywhere. And usually you want to make sure you know what chunk you're putting it in. So my base is kind of centered off of, we'll say, this chunk. So if I drop my world anchor right here, this thing eats ender pearls. And I've got some ender pearls right here from my lovely ender lily farm. Every ender pearl you put in here will tack on 12 hours of loading. And I can't remember precisely, but I'm going to look it up right quick. World anchors will keep. Come on, internets, you can win. Yeah, 3x3 chunks. So in Infinity, in the mod pack, if you press E and you click on this claim chunks window, the chunk that I'm standing in right now is here. So I've got the world anchor in that chunk, in this chunk right here. So that means all 9 of these chunks are now loaded, whether I'm offline or online, for the next 24 hours because I put 2 ender pearls in there. And that's kind of nice. That means everything in my base can run with whether I'm here or not. So very nice little advantage by doing that. All right, so that is now knocked off the list. The next thing we want to work on is the ender tank frame. And this is one of the first things that we're actually going to be using these resonant, what do I have in there? Oh yeah, resonant machine frames for. So if you take a resonant machine frame, you put 4 Enderium nuggets around it and 4 Eye of Ender, which these, I've shown you how to make these before. They're very simple. It's just a ender pearl with a blaze powder. You're going to get 8 of these ender frame tank frames, sorry. And these are used for quite a few different things, okay? We're going to be using it for an Enderchest today. Actually, that may be all they're used for. No, there's a multi-block, and they're also used for the ender tanks. And they're used in a multi-block structure as well as ink mixers. Okay, so they're used for a few different things. But primarily what I'm going to be using them for is ender tanks and ender chests. So right here, I've got a setup for an ender pearl. I mean, an ender pouch. And if you've never used it before, an ender pouch links directly with an ender chest. Now, you can use the pouch by itself and it's just an extra inventory space. So making this early is not going to hurt anything. Now, where did I set up the recipe for that ender? Oh, I took it out. I had to take it out earlier. That's right. Okay. So an ender chest works like this. You just take 3 iron chests, a piece of wool, 4 crushed obsidian, and you stick the tank in the middle, and we get an ender chest. Now, this gives us our first, quote unquote, remote storage, so to speak. So if I pop this down right here, and I open it up, you'll notice that the bag has an animation. Look, if you look down on my icon bar, when I open this up, you can kind of see it for a split second. It opens. And you can also see it in my hand over there. But you can also watch, and when I click this, it's going to open the chest. So whatever these 3 colored pieces of wool are, you can do the same color coding on your ender pouch. And that's how you sync them together. Now, I'm in a single player world, so I don't have to worry about that. But you want to color code them, especially if you're in a multiplayer world, and hope nobody else matches your color code because they'll link to your chest. But the cool thing about this is that I can now send things to my base. And if I lose that bag, I die out in the wilderness, this is still in the ender chest for me. And we'll be using that to do some remote setups later and just to make things easier to move around the base and get things. So for example, if I were to send some iron in here, I could have one of these smelteries set up to do nothing but pour gears with an ender chest under it, and I could throw in some iron, and an iron gear would pop into my bag, and I could just pop it out while I was out around the base without having to go to that room. So it's a very nice quality of life improvement. So that knocks out the top 2 items on the list. Now the next set of things is where we're going to kind of start to change gears, and we're going to start looking at a new mod, and that mod is Ender.io. And Ender.io is by far and away one of my favorite mods. I love Ender.io. And we're going to get started very simply by making some basic capacitors. Basic capacitors take lapis electron tubes, which you've seen me make electron tubes before. They're made in the forestry thermionic fabricator. This one, instead of diamond, we use lapis, and there's a lot of different tubes out there, and I'm not going to go into depth over each one as we do it. You know how they're made. You can figure it out from there. Redstone chipsets, assembly table, and this is the other alloy we made the other day, the signalum. I've broken down a couple of signalum bars into nuggets, and this will give us some basic capacitors. So we're going to pull 4 of these out for now. And where these are used is in the creation of basic capacitor banks. And so that's what I want to make right now, is a basic capacitor bank. So I've got some iron ingots right here. I'm going to drop them down there. Put these 4 right here. And I'm just going to grab a redstone block and stick it in here. And we get our first basic capacitor bank. Now, the basic capacitor bank is no different than these guys in here. These lovely HV capacitors. It stores RF for us. But there is one slight difference about it, and I'm going to show you what that is right now. So if I pop this guy down, right now he has some power. I don't know where he got it from, but congratulations on having some power. It's got 249,000 RF in it for some reason. The cool thing about these blocks is you can shift right click them and show an input-output symbol. Okay? And you can stack these up. They become a multi-block structure, and however many of them you add together, the bank gets that large. So if I built 4 more of these, it would become a 4 million RF storage multi-block structure, which is very awesome to me. I like multi-blocks most of the time. So right now this thing is ready to output power, it says. Where it's outputting power to, I don't have the slightest idea, but it just decided it was outputting power all of a sudden for a moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually attach it to power. So if I put this here, it's now receiving 824 RF per tick. Oh yeah, it received charge from my flux capacitor. They pointed out on my stream. Good call, Drago. Very good call. So I am filling this up right now. Well, I don't want to fill this up because what I want to actually use this for is to monitor power output in a moment from a different machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain this. Let's put it right here for a second. The other cool thing about these is previously, if I wanted to charge up this redstone flux capacitor, I had to put it inside of this energetic infuser, which is a machine that pulls RF in. Well, this guy has 4 slots where I can just stick an item in and charge it directly off the battery. So that's very nice. And I can change the output speeds on these based on the maximum amount. And these capacitor banks from Ender.io, they get pretty large. They get up to a 25 million storage. And that 25 million storage has a very high output capacity on it. So these things are going to be very nice as we step through the mod and get to the higher and higher tiers of it. But for right now, let's go ahead and we're going to drain it down a bit. We're going to come back and scoop that up in a minute, the actual capacitor. And let's go ahead and charge up my jetpack, and I'll come pick that up in a minute too. All right, so we got our basic capacitors made. We got our basic capacitor bank made. Next thing that I want to make is a Kinetic Dynamo. And this is, I should have multiple steps set up to show this one. So to make a Kinetic Dynamo, you're going to need a few things. The final recipe for it is sitting right over here. And the first thing I'm going to make is this Electrum wire coil. And all that is some MV wire, which you can see you make right here, MV wire. It's Electrum around some treated sticks. Treated sticks come from treated wood. Treated wood comes from wood surrounding creosote. We've done that in the past when we made those HV capacitors. So getting to this point and even getting to this point, this should be no problem. This is just a single iron ingot. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up out of there and put it in there. That will complete the Kinetic Dynamo. So the Kinetic Dynamo takes iron ingots, the Electrum wire coil, redstone, 3 pieces of steel, and an MV. Now we've made HV, an MV capacitor. The only difference here is this is a little cheaper to make than HV because it doesn't require steel across here, and I forget what it uses on the sides. I believe aluminum. So I've got an MV set up right here. An MV stores much less RF than an HV, obviously. So I've already got an MV made. I'm going to go ahead and pull this Kinetic Dynamo out, and that's ready to go. The Kinetic Dynamo is used with the water wheel that we're about to make. I don't particularly like water wheels. They're pretty cool. I liked them a lot in the beginning. In fact, in one of my bases, I had like 12 of them with this cascading waterfall, and it was really cool looking. I think that was in season 1. But I've kind of shied away and stopped using them nearly as much. I'm not sure why. Partly because I had this probably misconceived notion that they cause me an FPS loss, but we're not going to go into all that. So once again, here's how you make treated wood planks. To make a water wheel, you're going to need to make 8 water wheel segments, which take 4 sticks and 3 planks to make each segment. You then take those 8 segments and you put them around a shaft of iron. Well, how do we get the shaft of iron? That's where you need a couple of iron blocks. You bring these iron blocks over to your metal former. You put it into extruding mode. Now, we've had it in rolling mode this whole time. That makes plates. Cutting mode will make wires. Extruding mode kind of does different things depending on what you put in, but if we put in blocks of iron, it will make the shaft that we need. So with that said, we're going to come back over here. We're going to let that finish up. And we're going to pop one of these out and grab a water wheel, okay? Now, at its most basic and simple setup, do I have a bucket? I do. Okay. Let's grab a bucket of water. Let's put a dynamo somewhere. We'll put it right here. And this room is set up because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a 3-wheel setup, which is the biggest setup you can do on a single dynamo. So we've got our dynamo, we've got our wheel, right? So this is a water wheel. Let's go get our jetpack, and we're going to put some water over it. So the jetpack is right here, ready to go. And we're going to go ahead and grab this capacitor for just a second. We'll set the capacitor up right here on this wall. And I should have somewhere. There, okay, I'm silly. We're going to take one of our, I suck at this part, MV wire connectors on top of each of these, okay? And we're going to run an MV wire from the dynamo down to the capacitor. Now, this is all from Immersive Engineering, including all these wires and wire that I'm running and the connectors. These are all from Immersive Engineering. Immersive Engineering is very big on multi-block structures. They want you to, really feel like you're building what it claims you're building. And it's kind of a very cool concept. I like it. I really, really enjoyed this mod when it first came out. I still like the mod quite a bit. I think it provides a very unique feel to Minecraft that a lot of mods miss out on. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of structure around this because I do not want water spilling out all over the freaking place. And that is exactly what will happen if you don't add any kind of structure around this. So we're going to set this up a little bit. We're going to come down. Probably to about right there, I think. And we'll go back up again. And we'll need to do the same thing on this side because we don't want the water leaking out. Okay. I'll have to break that one. And that should be kind of good enough probably for right now to give, simple demonstration of what I'm talking about how this works. Normally I would use glass for this, and I will use glass at a later time to show you some of the more important stuff about it. I'm not sure that it's going to make it through. We'll see. Okay. So let's bring that around right quick. All right. So with this set up like this, if we put the bucket of water right here, it's going to start running across the top of this. And yeah, I did. I left it one block too high on this side right here. So this needs to come down like that. And we'll just put this right here, right there, and right there. There we go. All right, so our water mill is now turning, or water wheel actually. If we get an empty hand and we shift click on this, we can see that that wheel by itself is putting out 25 RF a tick. Woo-ha! You know, why does that really matter? That's not that great. We've got generators that produce 160 RF, 320 RF a tick actually right now. So why do we care about that 25 RF a tick? Well, because that's passive. I don't have to do anything to run this water mill, water wheel, whatever, except for let it sit there. And it will always, until I stop it, put out 22 RF a tick. And you notice that it changed. Depending upon where pieces of this water wheel are set up, will change the amount of RF it produces. It's not producing right now because this fin is no longer being hit by water. There is an optimal setup for these things. And I'm going to hopefully be able to replicate that, but we'll see. So for right now, I'm going to break this off. I'm going to take all those pieces back. I'm going to scoop up my water bucket. And I'm going to pause the recording right here. And I'm going to go in and hopefully set this up in the correct manner with a 3-wheel setup and show you guys a maximum RF output water wheel. So I'll be back in just a bit and we'll get this going on. See you in a second, YouTube. All right, YouTube, we are back and we have the water mill set up, and now we're going to see how much RF per tick we are actually producing. So by hooking this up to the little power adapter, we're getting 87. Now the max you can get is 88, and it's very wonky to get those last few points. The trick to this is you want as many fins on the wheels being hit by water as possible. So where the block I'm standing on right now, this is directly above the Kinetic Dynamo, which is right down there. You want to start the water directly on the water mill, just back one from center, and let it flow forward from there. When it gets down here, as it drops, you want to make this little ledge so that it kicks over and gets this inner fin. And then you want to let it drop again and go to the ground. Now as it gets to the back, that same inner fin right here will not, no water can reach it because it's below it. But if you'll put a ledge and add 3 more source blocks of water and let them flow this direction, they'll cause more power to be generated from that flow. And then above it, in the same general area, so here's where we started it, take 2 steps back from where we started it and down 1 level and put 3 more source blocks, and they'll flow into it and cause it to get that extra spin. If you don't do those 2 little extra sections that I just talked about, you're only going to get around 74 RF a tick. But by adding those 2 extra sections, you bump up to 87/88 RF a tick. So I'm now producing the same amount of power as a dynamo does right here, but I'm doing it passively with these guys. And I can pop this off, and I've got this little setup where I can now tie this right into my power grid. So, well, I'll have to play with the cables a little. So that may need to come out 1 more step. And the cool thing about these cables actually is that once you run them, you can actually put a block in front of them. So for example, if I run a cable to there, I can put a block right here. It does not affect the fact that that cable is run through it. It's still going to generate power and send it over to where I want it to. So I'm now pumping power out of that windmill and into here. And that's pretty good. I could even buffer that with this other capacitor right here if I wanted to. In fact, I could tear this whole thing down and do that if I wanted to. But I'd have to reconnect every single machine over here to do that. But then I would be able to read my RF. Here, let's do that real quick. Just for shiggles, as the saying goes. I think I got that from my boss, Eric. Can't remember. Alright, so we're going to put a single cable. Let's get an open hand right quick. right here, and we want to take cables and go from here. So I don't have to actually go directly to that. I could leapfrog this in any way that I wanted to. I could take it to this generator, and then from this generator to there. I can go from here to there, and I can cut down, you know, a serious number of cables that we were using before, because this is basically an input. And right now it says that I've got 21 power being input. That's because of how much output is going out. So put this here. So if I came in here and I turned off this, and I turn this off. Now keep in mind, it banks your progress. So if I stop that, all power right now that's going through here is going into these other capacitors to try to get their batteries refilled. Or they're trying to fill themselves back up. So it's showing 226 out, but realistically that means that there's 226 in at the moment. Which is very odd, because this guy's producing 50. This guy's producing 87. We already know that. These guys should be each producing 320 RF a tick. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I'll have to play around with it and keep an eye on it for a little bit. But good news is we did get our water mill set up. That's awesome. I need to check one thing real quick, and then we'll talk about the next part. So water mill is set up. We got a lot done, actually. We got our ender chests, we got our ender pouch, we got the water mill, we got the necklace of night vision. Something else was done too. Oh, we got this capacitors. And with the capacitors and stuff that we've made, we're going to be able to start going towards some other stuff. Let me back this up just a bit. So in Ender.io, my next steps are going to be to go ahead and get a vat right here, the vat. The vat's going to allow us to start boiling up different liquids, which is going to allow us to advance into Mine Factory Reloaded. Because with the vat, you're able to use this to make jet fuel, which is required to make these plastic sheets. Rocket fuel, I'm sorry. So rocket fuel from a vat, by combining hooch with gunpowder and redstone, will get you rocket fuel. And we can only do that with the vat, which will allow us to take the next steps. But yeah, so basically right now all power is being pumped from these guys. That's why there's none being stored up. And they're going through fuel like crazy. Into this capacitor bank. It's transferring it from itself, and you can control the output and input sides, by the way. So it gives you this nice, beautiful interface. So we can set this as in, or we can set it as, there we go. So total input right now into this capacitor is 774 RF a tick. Now let's add that up. 320 and 320 is 640. 640 plus this 50 is 690, plus the 87 there. That just about adds up. There's a little loss somewhere. I'm not sure what's taking a couple of ticks of drain off of it, but I'm not worried about it. We're now producing 774. When you add in this other 50, we're now producing 820 RF a tick. That's pretty good for where we are right now. I'm pretty happy with that. If you do not declare a side to be a specific usage, it simply just does things. Hold on, how do I reset it? There we go. I don't want it to be disabled. I don't know why it's doing that. I guess you can't reset them back to the default, but because used to you could let them just do either way. Right now that's taking it in. But we're going to set it to output because that's what we want it to do. We want it to output into this generator. Or this other capacitor. So we're filling everything up. We're good. Alright guys. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I do want to say thanks for all the follows. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the comments. Hopefully the voice quality on this one is much better than the last one. I do apologize. I was just getting the mic set up and I had forgotten that I had not gone into OBS and reconfigured the voice settings. So the voice in the last episode was absolutely horrible. I know. I apologize. I've taken some steps to make sure that doesn't happen in this one. So hopefully there's no issues. But yeah, you guys have, and if you didn't notice, I'm putting out a double episode today because the last episode was so terrible. I decided to put out 2 for Thanksgiving. So have a happy Thanksgiving if you get to watch this video tonight. If you didn't, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Be safe. Take care of one another. Laters.